Well, hello, welcome back once again, or welcome to whichever applies. If you're new to the channel, basically I watch a movie and I sit down in this chair immediately after I finish watching the film, and I ramble in one take with minimal notes and absolutely no script. So if that's your thing, cool. If it's not, then I don't blame you if you click out of here. Anyway, let's get down to the point of things. What are we watching today? We're watching, well, what did I watch? Obviously you're not watching this isn't a watch along, so that's the kind of professionalism you can expect from this channel. Anyway, I watched Frogman, which is a 2023 found footage based around the lore of the Loveland Frogman, this gentleman right here. This poster is actually featured inside the film too, which is kind of cool. So yeah, spoiler alert, you know the drill. I will be talking about the film and things that happen in the film, including the ultimate finale and all that stuff. So if you don't want spoilers, skip ahead to the timestamp where it says thoughts. And there we go. Thoughts are usually spoiler free. If there are spoilers, it'll be in brackets, thoughts, spoilers, so whatever. Anyway, let us begin. So, 1999, we've got a family road trip, very fun. We're introduced to Dallas, his father, his mother, and his sister, who, they're just going on a road trip. There's no real backstory to that, but they come to Loveland, Ohio, or whatever, and they end up going to see some bridge or something, and then they end up fighting in the car because the dad's lost or something, and the kids step outside to get some air while their parents argue, and lo and behold, he's filming it. So Dallas is like an amateur film director dude guy. Oh my god, filmographer is the term. So even at a young age, he's filming different clips of like trips and stuff. So he's filming this, and then he zooms into the forest, and lo and behold, you see like a big ass frog in there, and then it stops, and then we cut to a YouTube video guy doing some of the history of the Loveland Frogman. So for those of you who don't know, I'll give you a very brief history. So I think the first incident was in 55, where like some cops saw three like frog-like figures or something like that standing off the side of the road. And then there was another one that was like, the more famous one is from, I want to say 1972. You can fact check me on that one though, don't quote me on it. Where an officer saw another one that he later attributed to being like a large iguana, even though it was like on its hind legs or whatever. I don't know if iguanas do that or not, but anyway, the fact that he recounted it made people think, oh, it's a cover-up or something. Anyway, those are like the two big ones. I think there have been sightings like since then. I don't know how credible any of them are. I mean, I don't even know how credible these two are, but either way, that's the Loveland Frogman. A bit of a weird cryptid because it has a magic wand, essentially, which is very unusual. But either way, let's continue. So he basically gives this back spill of what the Frogman is, and he's reviewing this video that Dallas had filmed and saying that he thinks it's a crock of shit. He's like, this kid, grew up to, be a amateur filmographer, so I'm sure this is just one of his first projects or something like that along those lines. Anyway, then we cut to our friend Dallas, who basically has the camera now. He pulls it back, and he was recording the YouTube video, I guess, for his thing. And he gives this spiel saying, listen, it's been 20 years. I'm going back to Loveland. I'm going to get actual proof of this Frogman. I'm sick of people telling me it's bullshit, etc., yada, yada, yada. The lobster bisque. Seinfeld reference. You can ignore that if you haven't watched Seinfeld. So yeah, that's the plan. So he runs into his buddy Scotty at work, and he asks Scotty, hey, are you going to come and film this for me? Because his buddy Scotty is like a cameraman, or that's what he was. They used to make films together when they were little, essentially. There's a trio. It was him and Scotty and Amy, their other friend, which we'll meet very shortly. So he says, no, I don't want to deal with it. It's ridiculous. I have a job, etc., etc., etc. There's like a tiny hint of animosity between the two throughout the film, but not friendship breaking or anything like that. Anyway, later he says, well, let's get some beers after or something. And so they hang out and they say, so are you going to go to that Amy's going away party? And he's like, oh, I haven't really talked to Amy in a while. Oh, why is that? Doesn't say anything, but he's like, yeah, she's going to LA. He's like, oh, shit. Okay, well, I didn't know. Am I even invited? He's like, yeah, come. I'm sure she'll be fine. So they go to this party, and I'm just gonna say it, like, it's kind of like a Cloverfield subplot to this. Like, there's the party, and there's the going away thing, and then there's the star-crossed lovers thing, and like, I don't want to delve into like the romantic thing of the movie, because that is like a main subplot, but I just want to get to the frog stuff, so we'll get rid of that right away. So just like in Cloverfield, spoilers for Cloverfield. Give you a couple seconds to pause it if you don't want to. Skip ahead like, I don't know, 30 seconds, I'm sure it'll be fine. Anyway, so in Cloverfield, we have our main character who slept with one of his friends, and then they got distance after it because neither of them thought the other one thought it was anything, and then the one's moving away, and the other one's like, oh my god, and this whole thing, and then they go on an adventure, essentially. Well, not an adventure, but like, they wind up meeting again later, and then there's a whole like I love you thing and all that shenanigans. That subplot, you can almost not like word for word transcribe it to this film, but it's very, very much derived from that. Whether or not they took it from Cloverfield or not. But anyway, let's get back to the frog stuff. Anyway, so he's meeting with Amy at this party, and they chat and they have a little thing, and Scotty's had a couple drinks, and basically the three reunite, and she learns about the frog project, and Scotty's like, dude, okay, you know what, actually, fuck it, I'm in, I'll be your cameraman. He's like, sweet. And he's like, oh, Amy, you should come too. And then he's like, really? And then Amy's like, anyway, she agrees. So they're gonna do one last film together, which is super fun. They head out the next day. Scotty's like super hungover, obviously. He's a party hardy type dude. Anyway, they head out, and then there's this whole thing where Amy wants to do this like southern interviewer person, or like the narrative of the film. She wants to be the face of it as like this southern belle who she calls Norma Jean, and they even stop and buy like a little tasseled, I don't know, you know those like jackets with the tassels on the arms, like Macho Man Randy Savage? Basically like that, but like cowboyish, you know what I mean? Well, anyway, they find one of those, and she does this southern accent. I can't do the accent, so I'm not even gonna bother actually, but there's that whole thing, and they go into town, and they ask some people around, and some people are like, yeah, there's, you know, some people say he can read minds, and others say that he kidnaps women and like impregnates them, and they give birth to his little frog dudes. And you know, there's another guy who says, or no, he brings up the cult. He asked one of the people about the cult, and they're like, oh, I don't know anything about that, but you know, whatever. And they check into this Airbnb, which they're going to be staying in Loveland, and which is in Ohio. I don't know if I said that or not, but anyway, Loveland is a little bed and breakfast thing, and the woman there is like, oh, there's a Frogman Point lookout, you know, if you want to see him, you should go there around, gives them a time and a map and whatever, and they're like, okay, cool, sounds groovy. They go and do that, they go down this path, and it's starting to get dark and whatnot, and lo and behold, they're filming, and when they get to this bridge, they look down, and there's movement in the trees, and they shine in there, and they see something moving, they're like, oh my god, that's him. Anyway, they chase, he ends up tackling the Frogman, which ends up being a dude that was in a souvenir shop earlier in the film. So they pick up some souvenirs too, some like frog stuff. There is a bunch of stuff that's clearly meant for like suckers, essentially. Like there's like a frog flute that you can play to summon it, and there's like bait and all that kind of stuff. And then of course like t-shirts, keychains, all that kind of stuff. I love that stuff, like the cheap tacky little keychain things, like I love it. Anyway, this guy basically is hired by the town, I guess, to help boost tourism by dressing as the Frogman and being slightly visible in the deep woods, so people think, oh, I guess I saw the Frogman, right? Anyway, so Labrador tea today. I don't know if you ever had Labrador tea. It's pretty interesting, but I like it. Anyway, back to the film. So they tackle this guy, and anyway, it's like, dude, like literally, like the town pays me to do this. It's for tourism, you know, like most people get a kick out of it, and you're just being an asshole. Anyway, they get pulled over even by the cops later, and the cops like, yeah, so I heard you like assaulted the guy in the frog suit. Like, you guys need to leave now. Before they were pulled over, they even went back to the bed and breakfast, and the woman that owned it was like a real sweetheart and everything initially, and Dallas starts going off on her like, I didn't come here to see some dude in a suit, you know, I was back here when I was a kid, I saw the actual Frogman, that ain't him, you're cheapening and all this stuff, and he goes like ape shit. She tells him to leave. Anyway, fast forward. At this point, Amy and Scotty are kind of like, I don't really want to do this anymore, like we should just go, like we're getting, you know, we were just pulled over and told to leave, and he's like, okay, we can go. After we talk to George Hale, who apparently was one of the guys who saw the Frogman prior to Dallas's incident in 1999 with his family trip and all that. So they go to his house, they pull up. Oh, side note, again, we'll just dip in the romance one more time. So basically, Amy sees Scotty asleep, but the camera's still rolling, and so she starts having a heart-to-heart with Dallas, and they kind of spill what happened. They're like, yeah, we never like talked about that night, and he's like, yeah, don't worry, it didn't mean anything to me. And she's like, yeah, me either. Clearly, it meant something to both of them. Like, it's, but you know, whatever. You're gonna assume the worst, so you don't get burned, I guess. I don't know. Anyway. Scotty heard all that and even tells her later when Dallas is in the bathroom, yeah, so I heard your little conversation. And she's like, what, really? And he's like, yeah, you know he's full of shit, right? Like, that he went on about that night. Like, it meant everything to him. She doesn't get a chance to say anything because he walks out of the bathroom and whatever. Anyway, fast forward, we're at George Hale's house. They're on the property. There's like no trespassing signs and everything, and like, fuck off, you know, all that kind of stuff. And anyway, he goes to the house, he's calling out George. George opens the door, goes in the house. Amy and Scotty are like, we're not going in, we're staying in the car. And they see him go in the house, like, for fuck's sakes. Anyway, a couple seconds later, he comes back, he flags them in. George has agreed to do an interview with them, which, considering the trespassing and literally just walked into his house, that's pretty good of him. He's irritated, visibly, but he's cooperative. And they ask him some questions and all that stuff, and eventually they ask him about the cult, and he's like, who told you about that? And they're like, I don't know, we just researched it or whatever. And he's like, okay, like, there's things that you don't want to know, and, you know, it's... Long story short, he gives them a map to where the actual Frogman is supposed to be. So he, I guess, has tracked it through all these years, and he knows where it is so he can avoid it or something. I don't know. Anyway. So they take this map, and they park, and they go out, and lo and behold, they set up camp, and they're doing a fire, and the firewood is wet, and Amy's kind of mad at him for whatever reason, because emotions and all that, so she's like, fine, I'll just go get some dry wood, and she wanders off, and she's gone for like an hour. Scotty's like, has gone to sleep at this point, so like before she gets back, he's like, listen, I'm tired, I'm gonna hit the hay. Anyway, he gets woken up by Dallas, who's like, dude, you have to come here, get the camera, and they come. There's a frog print in the mud, he's filming it, and I guess this whole time he's been kind of condescending towards Scotty, and this is the part that just snaps him. He's like, are you filming it? Are you filming it? Did you get it? And he's like, yes, I got it. You know what? Actually, fuck this. Puts the camera down, walks off. He's like, you're such an asshole all the time. You're like condescending, all that stuff. They had a little lover's quarrel between the boys. And then they hear Amy scream or something, or I don't really remember. But they find her standing with like her eyes glazed over white in like a trance, and she snaps out of it. She's like, whoa, what the hell happened? And anyway, there's time displacement. She thought she like had just gone to get the wood, and lo and behold, she didn't. It's been an hour, and they see movement, and they start chasing what they think is the actual real Frogman, and they stop, and it somehow gets reversed where the Frogman's chasing them. It's like a whole Scooby-Doo thing, right? Well, not really. Like, it's done in a creepy enough way that it's not like stupid. Some people hate it, but I thought it was kind of fun. Anyway, Frogman is chasing them, and it's like getting kind of fucked up, and he goes in a ditch, and he's hiding with his camera, and he's separated from the other two, and then like the Frogman, there's like something drips on him, and you see him scream, and then like some of the camera gets all fucked up, and it shows like clips from like all over the place. I don't know, it's like a tape camera, so I don't know how it was digital, but Frogman's magic, so maybe it's like warped time and space, I don't know. Anyway, they end up getting away, and they're over it at this point. They got the footage, like Dallas is ecstatic, the other two are like, you know, regaining their composure, but they're kind of pumped too, because this is kind of a big deal, right? Like, it's a cryptid you found. It's kind of cool, right? Anyway, they're ready to hit the hay and head out. And when they get back to the B&B to get their stuff and leave, as the sheriff had initially suggested, they hear a noise, and they're listening, and it's coming from like the vents. And so outside of this, there was like a little cave that is said to be the Frogman's cave or something that they walked by briefly. None of them wanted to go in it because the entrance is like not that big. Anyway, they determine it's coming from the cave, so they follow it, and they say that this must link to the cave through like an underground thing, and sure enough, it absolutely does. There's like a tunnel. Oh, I forgot to mention, they found, when they were back in the woods, sorry, like I jump, it's ridiculous. When they were back in the woods, shortly before they found Amy in the trance there was like slime on a tree, and Scotty slipped and touched it or whatever, which is crucial to the next part of the film. So anyway, that happens. They follow the chanting through like a tunnel into like a cave, and then there's like a smaller cave that leads to another area, and they're looking through and they see cult members chanting and some girl screaming, and they say something along the lines of, I actually wrote down the quote, what was it? Man, okay, I don't feel like looking through all that. Anyway, it was something along the lines of, may your union be blessed and provide you with like healthy pollywogs or something. So essentially the Frogman's getting married and is gonna mate with this girl, I guess. Good times. So it turns out that this girl, not this girl, but another girl that they find, oh my god, I'm jumping all over the place. So okay, this happens, they interrupt it. Well, they don't interrupt it. One of the cult members pulls down the hood, and lo and behold, it's George, and he's got a gun and he's firing, and the Frogman is there, and the Frogman was trying to lure them in and all that stuff. And at one point, yeah, they all run, obviously, and they get to this room full of like egg sack things, and they open it and they realize that people are in these eggs. And one of the eggs that they open, the girl inside, they recognize a picture from George's house, and it's his missing granddaughter, and there's this whole convoluted thing. And George is like, this way, quick, and they run, and they get outside, and he says, okay, follow the river back to town, you're gonna be good. And they look, and he's not following, and he's like, listen, if there's any chance I can get my granddaughter out of there, I'm absolutely going to do that. So he does, and yeah. Meanwhile, Scotty is having an allergic reaction type deal, so his skin is bloating, and there are like little pustules on it and stuff, and long story short, he turns into a frogman, essentially. So I guess the goo he touched, like, changed his biology or what have you. Yeah, so he runs off, and it's just Amy and Dallas confesses his love. He's like, I always had feelings for you this whole time. I love you, blah, 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 blah. That night together meant everything, etc. And then Frogman is, like, in her head, and, like telepathically, like, that one person said that Frogman can, like, read minds and stuff, so he's, like, in her head, like, messing with her brain while he's trying to, like, confess his love to her. So Frogman's like absolutely cock-blocking Dallas, which is kind of hilarious. Anyway, as this happens, enter Frogman, and he like Jupiter thunder crashes them. So I don't know if you've seen Sailor Moon, but he has like this wand. This is nothing to do with Sailor Moon, just the Jupiter thing was. Anyway, he has this wand, and it has like a little weird mushroom head, and he like goes like that, and like lightning bolts fly out of it. And it's just this whole thing. It's very entertaining. The tape gets all fucked up, and you hear her yelling, Dallas, he's got me, and he's got the tongue pulling her in, like, rah, dragging her on the ground. And he's like, you fucking asshole. Then he notices that the Frogman, I guess, had dropped his wand to, like, reel in her, so he blasts the Frogman with fucking lightning, grabs her. George, is back somehow, and no, sorry, George isn't back. Oh my god, I'm mixing up this movie a little bit, but it doesn't matter. These are the events that happen in the films, essentially. Anyway, they get to safety, and it's just fucking Dallas and Amy, and they're still sitting there, and she's breaking down, and he's like, are you okay? And he's filming, and she's just looking at him like, can you just like stop, just stop. Anyway, film ends, and then we see the credits start rolling, and there's a song by like weird chanting in it and stuff, and then a song by like Frog Lord or something like that, or maybe that's the credits after, I don't remember. But anyway, it turns out we're watching this in a theater, which is also being filmed on a camera, and you see the crowd stand up and clap, and the guy comes out and says, awesome, that was Frogman, everyone, let's meet the director, Dallas. And then he says, Dallas, come out onto stage. And you see Dallas backstage, and he's like breathing heavy and like looking down, and do I have to do this? Anyway, then it basically cuts out, and it says that authorities refuse to take the footage seriously, because why would they? That's ridiculous, right? That Scotty is now considered basically a missing person, that Amy is in LA, and her and Dallas have not been in contact really since this event, and George and his granddaughter were never seen again after that night, and Frogman is still out there. And then it says, for Scotty. And then anyway, they cut again to the theater thing, and welcome to the stage, Scotty, and then it ends for real, and that's the film. So, all right, my thoughts. So, again, without spoilers or anything, the whole parallel to Cloverfield that I mentioned in the synopsis is very apparent throughout the film. Like, the similarities are something that I just couldn't ignore at all. Especially the whole found footage thing, it just made it that much more in your face. Like, oh yeah, this is kind of Cloverfield-y. So that was a thing. But other than that, the reviews I've seen were very mixed. People love this or hate it. There are a few like middle ground ones, which is basically where I stand essentially. But like, some people are giving it like 8s and 9s, and others are giving it like 1 or like 0.5 stars out of 10, and all this stuff. So I guess it's very subjective. I can be the first to admit that it's not like the best found footage film that I've ever seen. It's not a perfect film by any means. But what does interest me is they take a creature like the Frogman, which is not something that is really anything to do with horror. So like, he's like a more of a whimsical cryptid. Like I said, he's got like a magic wand. Like, it's just a weird creature to put in a horror movie. So I really loved that. This is, you're not going to see too many more Frogman movies, I don't think, because the subject itself doesn't often lend to horror. That said, because there are so few accounts and lore about the Frogman, nothing that this film added to the lore counters the existing lore. So what I mean by that is, I can't like go into detail about what's in the film, but everything lore wise about the Frogman that's real is included in the film, and all of the stuff that is added enhances the lore more, not so much counters it or makes it like this isn't the real Frogman. It's just like, we've only seen him a handful of times. If we got to spend some time with the bro, we'd learn more about him, and here we are spending some more time with the bro and learning more about him. So I like that. These are obviously not like huge actors, so I mean, there's a couple of spots where the line delivery isn't great, but it's not so bad that it's like the worst thing in the world. Like, I don't know, it gets way more hate than it should. People say, oh, there's bad camera work. Yeah, it's handheld. That's what found footage is supposed to be. If it was like perfect framing and everything, it's not found footage, because realistically, if you're running from some creature, you're not gonna, I don't know, I could go on about that forever. But so using the Frogman was cool. I like that. And I also like found footage. I mean, I'll just be honest, I do enjoy found footage movies. So, I mean, you're either in the crowd that kind of likes them, or you're in the crowd that can take them or leave them, right? So, I mean, that definitely probably will give it some points for me. But again, it's mostly just the fact that this film is about, like, a very strange and not really that super popular outside the region cryptid. So, I went on a trip, actually, in 2024 of, like, a cryptid and spooky place tour. I might have said this in another video, but I can't really remember. But I didn't get to go to Loveland, unfortunately. But I did go to other places. Like, I spent a night in the Fort Garry Hotel in Winnipeg, which is, like, one of the most haunted hotels in Canada. I also spent a night in, the Hawthorne Hotel in Salem, which is apparently, like, one of the most haunted places in the United States. And of course Salem, and I stopped at like Sleepy Hollow and like Flatwoods and Point Pleasant and all that kind of stuff. I went and saw the Screaming Tunnel in Niagara Falls. I went to Lake Champlain, Champ, etc. So it was a fun trip, but I didn't do Loveland, and I probably should have, because I did have to drive through Ohio. So whatever, I'll be back one day, I guess. Maybe not anytime soon, but we won't get into that. Yeah, all when it's said and done, it's a fun film. It's not, the greatest film of all time, but the subject matter, I would say, deems it worth a watch. Again, some parallels with Cloverfield a little bit with the plot, or the subplot, I guess. And they didn't even really need that subplot, to be honest. I think this could have just been a film where it's just a found footage. This is things that happen. There's not really a story either, but again, found footage. it's you piece it together yourself as you watch it, right? It's like they're not filming every moment of every day, So that's okay. The camaraderie between the three, for the most part, is pretty solid. Like, you do genuinely believe, okay, these three must have been buddies. They, like, razz each other a little bit, and, you know, there's some awkwardness because of the whole situation, right, that I won't get into. The Cloverfield situation. But for the most part, yeah, they're believable as a group of friends, so that was fine. And, yeah, I don't know if they actually use locals or not for the, like, interview segments when he's, like, talking to people, but those are probably the worst line deliveries in the film, is like the interview people. But that can't be helped if you're just grabbing people off the street, right? So, whatever. Not really crucial. So, I mean, again, you're not going into this for like an Oscar-winning performance or like fantastic line delivery or anything like that. You're going into this movie because it's a horror movie that's a found footage film about the Loveland Frogman. So, this fella right here, you know? So, that being said, I would say go see it. Now, what am I going to rate this? Despite my bias, I can't go too crazy with it. Like, I have to be realistic. Yeah, Frogman's awesome. Yeah, I like found footage. But, again, the borrowed subplot from Cloverfield, essentially. The iffy at times line delivery. You know, that also counterbalances, like, the good stuff of the film. Like, the Frogman himself, like the use of CGI and all that, and was done in a way so that the shitty video quality covered up the fact that it was CGI. So it actually looked not too bad, in all honesty. Anyway, rating. Sorry, I got sidetracked. 6.27. That's what I'm giving the Frogman. Yeah. That's all I got, really, honestly. Like I said, it's worth a watch, though. I think it's one of the neater and more unique found footage films I've seen in a while. You know, we have like 37 Paranormal Activity films, and like how many Blair Witch movies do we have now, and all that stuff. So I would say that this is a good unique found footage film that breaks from the tradition of what most normal found footage films are that I've dealt with personally. Again, I'm not an expert. I haven't seen every movie in the world, so maybe that opinion is complete BS. But check it out for yourself and let me know what you think. I watched it on Tubi in Canada. I don't know where it's available in the States. But in Canada, Tubi was the only option. I think you could rent it from something as well. I don't remember what. I want to say Prime. You might be able to rent it. But you can watch it for free on Tubi with ads. And the ads aren't that bad. It's like one ad. And it's not like every 4 seconds. Like that, what is it, Fossum or F-Awesome or whatever it is. So yeah, Tubi's good. So check it out. That's all I got. Don't forget to dislike and unsubscribe and not to comment. All right, bye.